Chosen one, I need you to lean in for just a moment. Imagine this with me. Heaven itself has paused. The songs of angels, the endless movement of creation, even the thunder of eternity has stopped to look at you. Yes, you. Do you know why? Because heaven has seen something in your life that most people around you have overlooked. While others may have only noticed your mistakes, your struggles, or your quiet tears, the angels have been witnesses to your endurance. They have seen the nights you whispered prayers with a trembling voice. They have seen the mornings when you rose out of bed with a broken heart, but chose to keep moving forward. They have seen you smile through pain that could have shattered you, and heaven stood in awe. You see, the angels aren't impressed by crowns, by earthly wealth, or by applause. They are moved when a soul refuses to collapse under the weight of invisible battles. That soul is you. You stood when everything screamed for you to fall. You held on when quitting would have been easier. You whispered, "God, I trust you," when your heart felt like it was falling apart. That kind of faith is louder than the most polished worship song, because it is forged in fire. Picture this: a lone tree standing in the middle of a vast desert. No rain, no shade, no comfort. Every day the winds whip against it. Every night the chill cuts deep. By every natural measure, that tree should have withered. But somehow its roots dig deep, finding a hidden stream beneath the surface. That's what heaven saw in you. That's what the angels are marveling at right now. The fact that against all odds you are still standing. Against every storm, every disappointment, every attack, you are still here, still breathing, still believing. And I need you to ask yourself this: how is that even possible? How did you survive the storm that should have drowned you? How did you keep your faith when everything around you tried to choke it out? The answer is simple but profound: because your roots are not in this world. They are in the eternal presence of God. Your strength has never come from what is visible. It has always come from the unseen, the Spirit of the living God, upholding you when you thought you were alone. Chosen one, this is why your story matters. Because your life is not just about surviving, it is about showing the unseen realm, both angels and demons, that you are unshakable when your faith is anchored in Christ. Every step you take forward is a testimony. Every whispered prayer is a weapon. Every tear you refuse to waste is a seed planted in eternity. Heaven has recorded it all. So here's what I'm asking of you today. Don't let this moment pass quietly. If these words are stirring your heart, don't bury them. Declare it openly. Someone else is waiting to hear your testimony. Someone else needs to know that their fight is not invisible, that heaven is watching them too. When you comment below, don't just type words. Make it a declaration of faith. Write boldly, "I will not faint." Say it as a prophetic act, because the moment you declare it, something shifts in the spirit. And if you're ready to step even further into this journey, if you're ready to stay connected to the words heaven still wants to pour into your life, then subscribe. Stay with us, because what God has begun in you is not finished yet. And if this message is speaking to your soul, I want you to do something powerful. Type the number 777 inches, the comments right now. Not as superstition, not as a ritual, but as a covenant declaration. 7 is the number of divine completion and perfection. When you type 777, you're declaring, "My struggle is not wasted. My story is not over. God's hand is still writing my life." You are not standing here by accident. You are standing here as a sign, as a living witness that what the enemy tried to bury, God has chosen to resurrect. Heaven has pressed pause just to shine its light on you. And the angels are marveling not at what broke you, but at the fire in your soul that darkness could not extinguish. So lift your head, chosen one. Breathe deeply. Heaven has seen you. You are celebrated. You are chosen, and nothing, not storms, not rejection, not fear, can erase that truth. Chosen one, let me take you into a story that mirrors what so many of us have faced. There was a young man, let's call him Elias. He walked through a season that felt like an endless silence from heaven. Every door he tried to open seemed to slam in his face. Friends who once stood close began to drift away. Loneliness pressed in so hard that he questioned whether God had forgotten him. Have you ever felt that way? Like your prayers were bouncing off the ceiling and coming back empty. But here's the thing. Elias made a choice that didn't make sense to the natural mind. He refused to curse God. Even when the nights felt hollow, even when his heart felt numb, he kept showing up in prayer. Day after day he whispered, "Lord, I still believe you are with me." Others mocked him, asking, "Where is your God now?" But heaven leaned closer, because that kind of faith, stubborn, bruised but unshaken, roared louder in the spirit realm than 1,000 perfect songs sung on a Sunday morning. And this is what astonishes the angels. They are not shocked by the storms you face. They know life brings waves of hardship. What shocks them, what makes heaven pause, is when you keep rowing your fragile boat across a raging sea instead of letting it sink. They marvel when you choose to trust God even when you can't see the shoreline. They record those moments because in those very battles your roots dig deeper into His presence. The prophet Hosea wrote in chapter 6, verse 3, "Let us acknowledge the Lord. Let us press on to know Him. As surely as the sun rises, He will appear." That's not just poetry. It's a promise. Just as certain as dawn breaks after the darkest night, God shows up for those who keep pressing forward. So let me ask you, are you still rowing your boat even when the storm tells you it's hopeless? Are you still whispering prayers even when you don't feel the answer yet? Because if you are, then heaven is watching, and the angels are. Stunned. Your endurance is preaching a sermon louder than words. You may not realize it now, but every stroke of faith in the middle of the storm is carrying you closer to the sunrise of God's promise. Chosen one, let me speak to the hidden moments no one else saw. The nights when you closed the door, laid your head on the pillow, and the only sound that filled the room was the quiet stream of your own tears. To the world, those tears may have seemed like weakness, like nothing more than silent pain. But in heaven's courts, those tears became a song. Picture a violin resting in silence. It looks like just another instrument until the bow touches the strings. Suddenly the air fills with a melody so moving it pierces through the quiet. That's what your tears were like. Each one struck a chord in the spirit, releasing a sound of faith that rose far beyond the four walls of your room. It reached the throne of God Himself. While no one else heard it, heaven did. And the angels stood in awe. Think about Leah, a young woman who was overlooked by those who should have loved her, ridiculed by people who should have protected her. Night after night she cried, feeling invisible. But those nights became her altar. Instead of cursing her life, she poured her tears before God. And in the stillness, she whispered words only He could hear, "Lord, if no one else sees me, I know you do." That whisper shook the heavens. Angels gathered closer because they knew that kind of devotion carries eternal weight. The psalmist declared in Psalm 5, 6, 8, "You keep track of all my sorrows. You have collected all my tears in your bottle. You have recorded each one in your book." Do you realize what that means? Not a single tear you've cried has been wasted. They have not evaporated into nothing. They have been stored, remembered, and counted by God Himself. Your tears are more than emotion. They are seeds. And seeds never look powerful at first. They're small, they're buried, they're hidden beneath the soil. But given time, they break open, pushing through the darkness, and they bring forth a harvest. Your tears have been watering a future you cannot see yet. Heaven has already glimpsed it, and that is why the angels marvel. What looked like breaking was actually building. So let me ask you, will you see your tears as wasted pain, or will you see them as a secret song of worship that only heaven could hear? Because the truth is this, your tears have been writing a testimony. They are not just a record of sorrow, they are a prophecy of the harvest to come. Chosen one. Let's talk about something every soul has faced: rejection. Few things cut as deeply as being dismissed, overlooked, or told, "You're not enough." It feels like standing on the edge of belonging, watching others be embraced while you're left outside. And yet heaven whispers a different story over your life. The world may have called you unworthy, but heaven has already declared you chosen. Think of a potter's wheel. A lump of clay is pressed, stretched, and reshaped over and over again. To the untrained eye, it looks harsh, almost violent. But in the potter's hands, that pressure is forming something beautiful, a vessel of honor. That's what rejection has been in your life. It hasn't been punished. It has been shaping. The very seasons that tried to crush you have been molding you into something that carries eternal value. There's a story of a man named Jonah, not the prophet swallowed by the fish, but another servant of God, centuries later. Jonah was mocked for his faith, cast aside by those he tried to help. The rejection stung, but instead of letting bitterness take root, he carried his wounds into prayer. One night, through tears, he whispered, "Lord, I may not be enough for them, but I know I am enough for you." That whisper carried a fragrance of surrender that filled heaven. Angels leaned in closer because they recognized the aroma. It was the smell of a heart that refuses to turn hard. And this is where the mystery of God shines. The Apostle Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians 1:2-8, "God chose the lowly things of this world, and the despised things and the things that are not, to nullify the things that are." That means what others despise, God crowns. What others throw away, heaven treasures. You may feel like the stone the builders rejected, but remember, the rejected stone always becomes the cornerstone. So let me ask you, what if the rejection you faced wasn't the end, but the unveiling of your true calling? What if the closed doors, the mocking voices, and the betrayal were simply the potter's hands shaping you for glory? That's why I want you to declare something today. Go to the comments and write these 3 words: crown after pain. Don't write it as a cliche. Write it as your prophetic declaration. Every wound you've endured is preparing a crown. Every scar is shaping your authority. When you type those words, you're aligning yourself with what heaven already knows. Rejection was never your ending. It was your preparation for glory. Chosen one, lift your head. Rejection is not proof of failure, it's proof of your calling. The enemy only fights what threatens him. If you were insignificant, hell would have ignored you. But you are marked, you are chosen. And what was once used to break you will one day become the very testimony that crowns you. Chosen one, let's talk about the battles you don't always see. The truth is, you have been in a war that the natural eye cannot measure. Every sleepless night, every sudden wave of despair, every unexpected storm, it wasn't random, it was resistance. And the reason is simple: you are dangerous to darkness. Picture a soldier standing in the middle of a ruined city. Smoke fills the sky, rubble is scattered all around, enemies surround him. Everything screams, "Lay down your weapon, give up, it's over." But the soldier plants his feet, grips his weapon tighter, and refuses to surrender. That soldier is you. Even in the moments when fear tried to crush you, you stood your ground. Heaven saw it. Angels leaned closer, marveling not at the fact that the battle was fierce, but that you refused to bow. Think of Daniel. He knew that opening his window to pray could cost him his life. Yet 3 times a day he lifted his voice to heaven. He chose faith over fear. And because of that, angels were dispatched into his story. Scripture reminds us in 2 Timothy 1:7, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind." Chosen one, you have lived that verse. Fear pressed in on every side, but you did not surrender to it. You kept loving when bitterness tried to consume you. You sought clarity when confusion surrounded you. And in doing so, you shook the unseen realm. There's also the story of a woman, let's call her Ruth. She was betrayed, wounded by people closest to her, and haunted by whispers in her mind saying, "You are worthless." But every dawn she opened her Bible and with a trembling voice whispered, "Lord, I am yours." Those words, though quiet, were arrows in the spirit. They pierced the lies. They pushed back the darkness. Angels marveled because they knew Ruth wasn't just fighting flesh and blood. She was pushing against principalities, and she was winning. This is your life too. You may feel weak, but every time you whispered a prayer, instead of surrendering, you released a weapon into the spirit. Imagine a lighthouse standing in the middle of a raging storm. Waves crash, winds howl, lightning tears through the sky. Yet the light does not go out. In fact, the darker and louder the storm becomes, the brighter the light shines for those who are lost at sea. That lighthouse is your soul. The storm didn't put out your light, it made it clearer. So hear me, your battles have not been proof of abandonment. They have been proof of your calling. You are dangerous to the kingdom of darkness, and that's why the war has been fierce. But heaven has testified your endurance has marked you as unshakable. You are not a victim of the fight. You are a witness that light is stronger than darkness. Chosen one, let me remind you of a truth. The world often gets backward. Power is not found in perfection. Power is revealed in weakness. The world says strength is about titles, possessions, or flawless success, but heaven sees it differently. Heaven looks for the cracks, because that's where the light breaks through. Imagine a clay jar filled with oil. To most people, the cracks in that jar look like flaws, like reasons to throw it away. But when the night falls, and a flame is placed inside, the very cracks that once looked like shame now become channels for the light to shine through. That's you. Your scars, your history, your broken moments, they have not disqualified you. They've become openings for the glory of God to shine brighter. There's a story of a man named Samuel. His life was full of disappointments, betrayals, and heartbreaks. At times, he thought his story was too fractured to ever hold purpose again. But one night, while weeping, he sensed a whisper in his spirit, "Even in your weakness, I will show my strength." Years later, Samuel looked back and realized that the cracks of his past had become the very testimony that drew others to God. Angels saw it then, just as they see it in you now. The Apostle Paul wrote in Romans 8:3-7, "No, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us." Notice that Paul didn't say without struggles or without cracks. He said in all these things, in the struggles, in the weaknesses, in the scars, you are not a conqueror because you are flawless. You are a conqueror because Christ's love flows through your fragile vessel with unstoppable force. So I want to ask you, what cracks in your life have you been ashamed of? What stories have you tried to hide because you thought they made you look weak? Could it be that those very places are where God's light wants to shine the brightest? And here's where we take a step together as a community. When you press like, when you share this message, when you subscribe, or even when you choose to support this work, you are adding oil to the lamp. You're helping the light shine further into the darkness for someone else who feels like they're breaking. There's no pressure, no demand, just an invitation. Every act is like pouring another drop of oil into the lighthouse so its flame keeps guiding lost ships home. Chosen one, remember this. Your weakness is not your end. It is your testimony. Your cracks are not a curse. They are proof that God's glory shines through you, and through them others will find their way back to the light. Chosen one, let me remind you of something powerful. The very fact that you are still here is a prophecy. Survival itself is a testimony. Think about it. How many storms have tried to snuff out your flame? How many nights did you feel the wind of despair blow so hard that it should have extinguished your light? And yet here you are, still shining, still breathing, still standing. Picture a candle in the middle of a hurricane. By every natural law, it should go out in an instant. But somehow, against all odds, the flame flickers, wavers, but never dies. That's not a chance. That's grace. That's the hand of God cupping your life, shielding you when you didn't even know it. The prophet Jeremiah wrote in Lamentations 3:2-23, "Because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed, for his compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness." That verse is not just ink on a page, it's your life story. Let me tell you about Deborah. She walked through sickness that nearly destroyed her, betrayal that shattered her trust, and loneliness that pressed her into despair. But even in the middle of all that darkness, she whispered a simple prayer, "Lord, I'm still here." That whisper was not a weakness, it was a prophecy. It was her way of declaring to every demon in hell, "You tried, but you failed. I belong to God, and I am still standing." And chosen one, that's your story too. Your survival has weight in the spirit realm. When you whispered, "I'm still here," heaven recorded it. Angels rejoiced, and the enemy trembled. Because your very existence, after all the battles you faced, is evidence that God's mercy has kept you. You are living proof that grace is greater than the storm. So I want to invite you into a prophetic declaration today. If you know this word is for you, go to the comments and type these 3 words, "Mercy kept me." Say it boldly. Because when you do, you're not just typing on a screen, you're testifying. You're declaring to heaven, to earth, and even to hell itself that God's mercy has carried you through every storm. Chosen one, your light should have gone out a long time ago, but it didn't, and it won't. Because the one who lit your flame is faithful, and no storm, no betrayal, no sickness, no rejection can extinguish what God himself has ignited in you. Chosen one, let's step into the quiet places, the nights when you whispered prayers no one else could hear. While the world slept, you spoke words into the darkness, and those words became seeds under the moonlight. Maybe it didn't look like much at the time, just a sigh, a whisper, or a tear. But in the kingdom of God, nothing whispered in faith is ever wasted. The psalmist declares in Psalm 1:2-6-5, "Those who sow with tears will reap with songs of joy." That is not just a poetic line, it's a promise etched into eternity. Every tear you sowed, every whispered prayer in the night, every act of faith done quietly when no one applauded it has been buried like a seed. And seeds, though hidden, are never dead. They wait, they grow, and in the right season they break through the soil into life and joy. Think about how generosity works the same way. When you share encouragement, when you lift someone else up, when you give, even in small ways, you are planting stars in someone else's night sky. Each like, each share, each subscribe, even each gift of support, it's not about algorithms or numbers. It's about shining light for someone who desperately needs it. It's like setting a paper boat afloat on the river. You may not see where it goes, but it carries hope downstream. It's like pouring water into a dry well. You might not know who will drink from it, but someone's thirst will be quenched. Let me ask you, what are you whispering into the night right now? Are your prayers shaping your future? Are your acts of kindness laying the foundation for someone else's breakthrough? Because every prayer, every action, Every seed you release becomes a brick in the future God is building for you. The ground may look dry today, but the rain is coming. And when it falls, the seeds you planted in silence will burst into life. So, chosen one, do not despise the small things. Do not think your whispers are insignificant. They are constructing a testimony brick by brick. They are watering the soil tomorrow. And as surely as the dawn follows the night, you will see the harvest. Seeds under the moonlight always bloom in the sunlight of God's timing. Chosen one, let me give you a truth. The enemy doesn't want you to understand what was meant to destroy you is the very thing God is using to elevate you. Hell may have dug a pit, but heaven is turning it into a platform. Joseph said it best in Genesis 50:20. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. That's not just his story, it's yours. Every betrayal, every setback, every plan the enemy thought would bury you has been hijacked by the hand of God. What looked like an ending is being rewritten as the beginning of something greater. Think of a bow and arrow. Before the arrow can soar, it has to be pulled backward. To the arrow, it feels like regression. To the archer, it's preparation. That's been your life. The more the enemy tried to pull you back, the further God was preparing to launch you forward. Or consider fire on wood. It doesn't destroy energy, it releases it. In the same way, the flames you've walked through have not consumed you. They've unlocked a power inside you that couldn't have come any other way. Gold is never revealed in its pure form without fire. It has to be tested, refined, melted down until everything false is stripped away. That's why the fire didn't kill you, it refined you. What's left after the flame is stronger, brighter, and more valuable. And those scars you carry, they are not marks of shame. They are signals, proof that you've walked through the battlefield and survived. They are reminders to both heaven and hell that you are still standing. The Word of God promises that no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Notice it doesn't say weapons won't be formed, they will. You'll feel the strike, you'll feel the impact, but they will not prosper. You may be struck down, but you will not be destroyed. You may stumble, but you will not be erased. So hear me, chosen one, the pit has already failed. What the enemy thought would silence you is about to amplify your voice. Your scars are not disqualifications, they are your credentials. The fire didn't break you, it branded you with purpose. And when God flips the script, what once looked like defeat will become the very testimony that sets others free. Chosen one, let me tell you something that may shake you. Your name has been spoken in rooms you have never entered. Long before you were born, long before you fought your first battle or prayed your first prayer, heaven already wrote you into the plan. Think about Queen Esther. At first she seemed like just another girl swept into the palace by circumstance. But scripture says she was positioned for such a time as this. She didn't stumble into destiny, it was written into her story. And the same is true for you. Ephesians 1:1 declares, "In him we were also chosen, having been predestined according to the plan of him, who works out everything in conformity with the purpose of his will." That means your life isn't random, your pain isn't wasted, your path isn't an accident. It has all been orchestrated under the hand of a God who sees the end from the beginning. I want you to picture this, a heavenly council chamber filled with light. In the center of the room lies a massive scroll rolled open across the table. And there, written in ink that cannot fade, is your name, not scribbled in pencil, not written in sand that can be washed away. Permanent, eternal, declared. When the angels gather, when heaven's plans are discussed, your name is already included. You are not a footnote. You are part of the main story. Now I know the enemy has whispered lies. You're forgotten. You're replaceable. You're too broken, but those lies crumble when held up to the truth. Heaven has already stamped you with divine purpose. The unfinished parts of your life, the places that feel incomplete, are not signs of failure. They're brushstrokes on a painting still in progress, and the artist is faithful to finish what he started. So today, I want to invite you into a prophetic act. If this message is stirring your spirit, I want you to comment on the number 777 below. Not as superstition, but as a declaration. 7 is the number of divine completion. When you write 777, you are saying, God's plan for my life will be fulfilled. My story will not remain unfinished. Heaven has written my name, and nothing can erase it. Chosen one, take heart. You are not late, you are not lost. You are right on time in God's eternal plan. Your name is written in heaven's counsel, and the ink has not faded. What he has begun, he will bring to completion. Chosen one. Let's talk about the fire. Not the fire that destroys, but the fire that refines. Scripture says in Zechariah 1:39, I will refine them like silver and test them like gold. They will call on my name, and I will answer them. I will say, they are my people. And they will say, the Lord is our God. That is the purpose of the fire, not to consume you, but to reveal what cannot be shaken. Think of Elias. He went through a season where loss seemed to surround him on every side. Fear tried to grip him. Pride whispered that he could handle life on his own. Self-reliance told him he didn't need God for every detail. But the fire came, and in the fire fear was burned away. Pride was stripped off. Self-reliance melted into surrender. What remained was faith, pure, unshakable, and radiant. That's what the fire does. It removes what is false and leaves behind what is eternal. Maybe you've felt the fire too. Maybe you've asked, why does it hurt this much? Why do I feel like everything is being stripped away? But what if the fire isn't punishment? What if it's preparation? Just as a blacksmith thrusts iron into the flame to forge a sword, God allows you into the fire to shape you into a weapon of authority. Every moment of testing has added weight to your words. Every trial has sharpened your edge. Remember Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were thrown into a fiery furnace, heated 7 times hotter than normal. By every human measure, they should have been reduced to ashes. But when the king looked into the fire, he saw not 3 men, but 4. The Son of God himself was standing with them. They walked out of the flames, not smelling of smoke, but carrying authority they never had before. Their testimony shook a nation. And that's the same for you. You're not just coming out of the fire, you're coming out with authority. Your scars are not signs of weakness. They are evidence that you have walked through flames and found God faithful. The fire has not destroyed you. It has forged you. It has branded you with a weight of authority that the enemy cannot counterfeit. So, chosen one, don't despise the fire. Don't fear it. Embrace it. Because when you emerge, you won't just survive. You will carry a voice that breaks chains, a faith that doesn't waver, and an authority that comes only from walking with God in the flames. Chosen one, I want you to pause and think about this. Heaven has already prepared a crown with your name on it. James 1:1-2 declares, Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him. That promise isn't just a far-off dream, it's a reality being shaped in your life right now. Picture a master craftsman at work on a crown. He doesn't rush. He patiently chisels, polishes, and carves detail after detail. Every cut of his chisel adds brilliance. Every moment of pressure creates beauty. And here's the mystery. Every tear you've cried, every night you endured, every prayer you whispered through pain, It has been added as light to your crown. What you thought was wasted sorrow has become part of your eternal reward. Remember Stephen, the first martyr of the early church. As stones rained down on him, the crowd saw tragedy. But Stephen lifted his eyes and saw the heavens open. He saw Christ standing at the right hand of God. That vision was heaven's way of showing that his crown had already been prepared. What looked like defeat on earth was a coronation in eternity. And your journey carries the same truth. The crown is not just for later, it is also what strengthens you to endure today. Maybe you've asked yourself, why keep going when it feels like no one notices, but heaven notices? The angels have seen you, and they know the crown reserved for you. They marvel because every scar you carry is another jewel, every act of faith, another sparkle, every choice to keep believing another layer of glory. You are running a race, and though the race feels exhausting, there is a finish line and beyond it a prize that cannot be taken away. And don't miss this, the crown is not just waiting for the future. Even now, the vision of it is giving you strength. The crown speaks into your present, reminding you that your pain is not pointless, your endurance is not invisible, and your faith is not forgotten. One day, you will wear it as proof that you overcame it. But today, let it be your fuel. Lift your head, chosen one. The crown of life is already shining in heaven, and its radiance is what carries you through. Chosen one, let me speak to the part of you that still wonders why you carry scars. You see them as marks of pain, reminders of what broke you. But heaven sees something different. Your scars are not the end of your story, they are the very windows through which God's glory shines. Think of a stained glass window. By themselves, the pieces are jagged, sharp, and broken. Each fragment looks meaningless when lying scattered on the ground. But when the master artisan gathers them, fits them together, and lets the light shine through, they form something breathtaking. That is your life. The broken pieces of your journey, the betrayals, the losses, the nights of silence, the unanswered questions are not discarded. They are being arranged into a masterpiece that only makes sense when God's light shines through. The Apostle Paul wrote in 2 Corinthians 4:17, "For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all." Paul wasn't denying the reality of suffering, he was reframing it. He knew that the weight of hardship here is temporary, but the glory it produces is eternal, and that glory is already being formed in you. Every scar you carry is not a sign of failure, it is evidence of survival proof that you stood, and a doorway for light to reach others who are still in the dark. So the next time you look at your scars, don't just see pain, see prophecy. See the places where God has taken what was meant for harm and turned it into beauty. See the cracks that allow His light to pour out, reaching those who feel too broken to ever be used. Your scars are sermons written on your skin, preaching hope louder than any words you could speak. And here is where we step into this together. We are not just individuals carrying our own broken glass. We are a cathedral being built piece by piece. When you press like, it's like laying one more brick into that holy temple. When you share, it's like releasing a lantern onto a river at night, drifting into the hands of someone who needs its glow. When you subscribe, it's like planting your flag on sacred ground, declaring, "This is where I belong, this is where I grow." And when you give even the smallest seed, it's like pouring water into a desert well. You may never drink from it, but generations after you will. Remember this, none of it is demanded, none of it forced. True generosity flows like living water, freely, joyfully, and always with purpose. Just as a stained glass window needs light to reveal its beauty, so the scars of your life need community, connection, and faith to shine at their fullest. Together, we are building something that will outlast us. Together we are reflecting a glory that angels marvel at. So lift your head. Do not despise your scars. They are no longer wounds, they are windows. And through them the eternal light of Christ is shining, painting your story in colors the world cannot ignore. Chosen one, let's talk about something that every believer wrestles with, but few truly understand: the season of waiting. Waiting is one of the hardest assignments heaven gives us because it feels like nothing is happening. It feels like silence. And yet in God's kingdom, waiting is never wasted. Isaiah 4:031 declares, "But those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint." Notice this. It doesn't say those who rush, those who strive, or those who fight in their own strength. It says those who wait. Think of an eagle. Before it soars above the storm, it spends long hours perched in stillness, wings, folded eyes fixed, waiting for the right wind. And when that moment comes, it doesn't flap wildly. It simply stretches its wings and lets the wind carry it higher than it could ever climb on its own. That is what God is teaching you in the silence. You are learning not to rely on your own strength, but to catch the wind of His Spirit. Sarah, the wife of Abraham, knew the agony of waiting. Year after year, the promise of a child seemed impossible. People mocked. Time passed. Hope looked foolish. And yet, at the appointed time, God fulfilled what He had spoken. Her waiting was not punishment. It was preparation. Her womb, her faith, her very life had to be stretched so she could carry the weight of a miracle. Waiting is like a bow being pulled back. To the natural eye, it looks like retreat. The string stretches farther and farther until it feels like it will snap. But the tension is not meant to break you. It is meant to launch you. The farther the bow is pulled back, the farther the arrow will fly. Your season of waiting has been storing power. When the release comes, you will go farther than you ever imagined. Or think of a painter working on a canvas. Halfway through, the picture looks chaotic streaks of color with no meaning. To the onlooker, it seems unfinished. But the artist sees the final image long before anyone else does. That's your life right now. You may only see fragments, but heaven already sees the completed masterpiece. Chosen one, hear me, waiting is not empty time. Waiting is where roots grow deep. It is hidden training for visible blessing. It is the place where God ensures that when the breakthrough comes, it won't break you. So, if you find yourself in silence, don't despise it. Don't rush out of it. Trust that beneath the surface, God is strengthening your wings, pulling back your bow, and painting the strokes of a destiny you will soon step into. Chosen one, let me remind you of something eternal. Your life is leaving ripples far beyond what you see. The book of Hebrews 6:10 declares God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown Him as you have helped His people and continue to help them. That means every act of love, every quiet prayer, every hidden kindness has been recorded in heaven and will echo for eternity. Think of a single candle lighting another. The first flame does not lose its fire, it multiplies it. Soon one light becomes 2, then 10, then 1,000. That's what your life is doing. Every word of encouragement, every act of forgiveness, every seed of generosity you've sown is igniting flames in places you may never see. Or picture raindrops falling into a still pond. At first the drop seems small, but the ripples spread outward, touching shores far beyond the center. Your legacy is like that. What you think is small is reaching farther than you know. Consider Ruth, a widow who chose faithfulness when she could have chosen despair. To the world, her decision to follow Naomi seemed insignificant, even foolish. But heaven saw the ripple, and her legacy became part of the lineage that led to King David, and ultimately to Christ Himself. Or think of Elias, an old man often overlooked in his later years. His body weakened, his voice grew faint, and many thought his time had passed. Yet he prayed. He whispered blessings over his family, his neighbors, the young ones coming after him. And when his life ended, the testimonies poured out. His words had shaped destinies. His intercession had built bridges of protection. That was his legacy, quiet, unseen, but eternal. Chosen One legacy is not about fame or recognition. It's not about monuments that crumble or names carved in stone. Legacy is the invisible imprint you leave on hearts. It's the strength someone else finds because you refuse to give up. It's the encouragement they hold on to because you spoke life instead of criticism. It's the unseen love that becomes a seed watered over time, rising into a harvest you may never witness in this life. So let me ask you, what kind of ripples are you leaving? Each day, with every choice, you are shaping eternity. Your words are like ink on the scroll of heaven. Your actions are like bricks in a temple of light. And your prayers, oh, your prayers are like arrows flying farther than your eyes can trace. You may feel ordinary, but heaven calls your legacy extraordinary. Lift your eyes, chosen one. Know this, your legacy is already being written line by line, choice by choice. And when you step into eternity, you will finally see the full picture. The countless lives touched the flames, multiplied the ripples that reached distant shores. That is your eternal inheritance. That is your legacy, chosen one. I want you to understand this truth. You are sealed by heaven, and no one, no enemy, no critic, no demon can break that seal. When God places his mark upon a life, it is as final as the signet ring pressed into hot wax by a king. That imprint cannot be erased, it cannot be duplicated, and it cannot be diminished. Think of the royal seal in ancient times. Kings wore rings carved with their crest, and when pressed into wax, that mark carried authority that no one dared to question. If a scroll bore the king's seal, it didn't matter who tried to open it. Only the one with authority could break it. That is what God has done for you. You carry his seal. Your life bears his imprint. Heaven itself has marked you as chosen. And like a gemstone that is cut and polished, your life has been shaped through pressure and fire. Every strike of the chisel, every moment of refining, was not to destroy you, but to reveal your brilliance. The very things that made you feel different, misunderstood, or set apart were never curses, they were confirmations of your calling. The seal of heaven is not meant to blend in, it is meant to stand out. You see, the enemy has tried to convince you that your difference is a flaw, that your uniqueness isolates you. But heaven says otherwise. The mark upon your life is evidence of your destiny. You have been stamped with purpose. You have been distinguished for such a time as this. The seal proves that your journey, your pain, your resilience are all part of a divine story that no one else could live but you. So today I invite you into a prophetic act. If this word resonates in your spirit, comment 333 below. 3 is the number of covenant and completion. By declaring 333, you're saying God's covenant over my life is unbreakable. His mark on me is final. And then comment 777. 7 is the number of divine perfection. By declaring 777, you are prophetically aligning yourself with heaven's decree. I am whole, I am chosen, and I am walking in God's finished plan for my life. Let these declarations rise, not as superstition, but as testimony. Because when you type them, you're not just pressing keys, you're stamping your spirit, sealing your agreement with what heaven has already declared. Chosen one, know this. Your battles were not wasted, your scars are not meaningless. and your story is far from over. The seal of God rests on your life, and no force in hell can erase it. You are chosen, marked, and sealed for glory. Chosen one, let me leave you with this truth. Not a single tear you have cried has been wasted, and not a single battle you have fought has been meaningless. Heaven has recorded every moment. The angels have witnessed your endurance, your whispered prayers, your quiet strength when no one else was watching. Nothing has slipped past the eyes of God. You did not just survive. Survival is too small a word for what has happened. You have been refined, you have been forged in fire, and now carry an authority that cannot be shaken. You have been prepared to wear the crown of life, and that crown is not only waiting for you in eternity, it is already shaping the way you stand, speak, and walk today. You are becoming a sign of hope, a living testimony that others can look to and say, if God carried them, He can carry me too. And now I want to invite you into something prophetic, something that seals this word in your heart. Take a moment to share this message, not out of obligation, but as a way of pouring courage into someone else's battle. You never know who is standing on the edge, waiting for one spark of hope to keep going. Your share could be the lantern in their night. Then I encourage you to comment below as an act of declaration. Write words like, I will not give up, or mercy kept me, or crown after pain. If you feel led, declare with numbers that heaven has been highlighting 333 as a prophetic sign of covenant and completion, or 777 as a testimony of divine wholeness and perfection. When you type them, you're not just filling a comment box, you're stamping your spirit with faith, agreeing with heaven's decree over your life. And of course, if this message has blessed you, stay connected. Like this video, subscribe, and keep walking with this community of chosen ones. And if God places it in your heart, give not as pressure, but as partnership. Every gift is like oil poured into the lighthouse, keeping the flame burning, so countless others lost at sea can find their way home. So let this be your final assurance tonight. You are chosen, you are remembered, and you are sealed. The crown awaits you. The light within you cannot be extinguished. What God has begun in you, He will bring to completion. Lift your head, chosen one. Walk with confidence. Heaven's mark is on you, and your story is not over. It is only beginning to shine.